Welcome to the Mind of Business Success podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Cramer. Our guest today is Jay Tinkler, and he is a marketing strategist. We are going to talk about some really good stuff. Welcome to the show, Jay.
Thanks, Alicia. Super excited to have a bit of a chat.
Okay, so you have a slightly different approach, and we just want to dive right into that because a lot of people they're acclimated to their marketing approach, we could say. And a lot of it is very me oriented. And that in many cases is exactly why people are so put off by marketing. So as we are kicking things off, I would love for you to tell our listeners a little bit about your business, what it is that you do, and let's talk a bit about your approach to marketing.
Yeah, great. Listen, I think probably a good way to start to understand what we do is to take you back a little bit and just give you a bit of an understanding as to where I've come from. I've had about 11 to 12 years running my own digital agency. And a couple of years ago, I started to do a bit of strategy work. Always been interested in the area of behavioral science and how people interact, especially online, and started to do a bit of strategy work with clients around how you sort of bring a more human approach to business. And what we were finding, especially in the digital space, is that like a lot of industries, it was starting to commoditize. A lot of the ways in which people were doing things were very templated and boilerplated, and marketing was becoming very quantifiable rather than qualitative. It was going out and seeing what sticks to the wall kind of thing. And we were missing that human approach, which was always a piece that I have fought for, which is remembering that at the other end of the computer line, if I can use that phrase, there's a person, there's a human. And so it set me on this journey of what it means to really have trust in business, what it means to really build a business that people love, they want to share, and invariably be compelled to talk about. And so now our business, or my business, is all about helping people understand their intention, build a business that really understands their customer and the transformation they're taking them on, build unexpected, remarkable moments for those customers aligned with that intention, and then start to build a level of community around their business that allows them to, I guess, leverage the power of collaboration within their business and build a front line of salespeople that can go out and market their business for them.
I just love this conversation so far. Okay. So there's a couple of different directions I could go here. I want to talk a little bit about the collaboration piece. You had mentioned this sort of human to human approach, and let's face it, no one likes to feel like they're just being sold to. They're just a wallet or a checkbook. And right now, in the landscape of the online world, doesn't matter what platform you're on, there's someone sending you some spammy direct message that feels so inauthentic. And now some people they try to make it sound like they're so interested in you. They'll do a little bit of their homework on you before they send the message, but it still comes across as very much self-centered. Really, I'm just scouting for business. And maybe if I kiss your ass enough, you'll give me 5 minutes where I can then give you the real hard sell. And then you're going to give me your credit card. And what you're talking about here with collaboration is very different. That's where you literally have real relationships with other people who become your advocate, who know what you do, they respect you as a professional, and they feel good about referring business to you. It's something that a lot of people don't really understand. So, people have these ideas of networking, right? It's like another just kind of spammy tactic, just done differently. Let's see how many people I can get my business card to, as though somehow that business card is going to convert them into a paying client or customer. So from your perspective, in this strategic marketing approach that you're taking, how are you kind of bridging some of those gaps between marketing, which is absolutely necessary and essential, but doing it in a way that is not necessarily coming across as that sort of superficial touch to hopefully build, your customer or client base?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important that we separate here the methods with the intention, right? So like, I think that the technology, we've all received an email that's an email marketing that is actually good too. Like that it is actually well thought out, very valuable, has the right intention. And separating the technology and the methods with the intention is really important. And one of the things that I found really early on was the work of Susan T. Fisk out of at your end of the world over in Princeton University, who is pretty much I guess, the godmother of the trust movement. And she talks about, or simply talks about, trust in two different ways. One is your competence, your ability to do what you say you could do and all of that kind of stuff and show up. And the other piece is your warmth of intention, your ability to communicate to another human being that you mean them well and you care about them. And it really hit home for me that in business, we do the competence piece really well. And we focus on showing everyone how competent we are. And even in marketing, we try and spend a lot of time communicating how competent we are. And we don't spend a lot of time communicating that level of warmth, of intention for them. I'd go a step further and say, Joseph Pine, who wrote the Experience Economy, we do a lot of stuff around his work, which is understanding the true transformation that you're taking your customer through. And if you backfill on that, if you realize that, if you're a fitness trainer and, you're taking them through a transformation, understanding where they want to be at the other end, you no longer become the person that's there to help them do more bicep curls and squats. You're actually there to actually partner with them to guide them to that end goal. And that then backfills to your marketing. Why are you sending this to me if you don't care about my transformation? And if I don't really care about my transformation. And suddenly you start to realize that you, from a marketing perspective, show up in the areas where people want that transformation. They value what you have to say, and it no longer takes on what you said so eloquently a minute ago around that spammy sort of way of doing things.
Now, someone's head is just in a tangled mess at this point, I'm sure. So let's talk about what that might look like. So we all know what we don't like, right? And there probably are a lot of people who are doing things in their own business that don't even resonate with them. When we get that email or even a DM, and it feels different, it does have a different intentional quality behind it. It can cause people to take notice, right? Like it pulls you in a different way. And even if maybe now is not the right time for you to do business with that person, you're far less likely to hit the unsubscribe button, right? So let's talk a little bit about that so people can start to frame this up in their mind with what does that mean? Because it's not intuitive to everyone. It really isn't. Some people are so conditioned to follow the format that to just be authentic or to come across in a customer client centric way there's a disconnect, right? So can you help?
Yeah. So the starting point for all of this, if you're going to do anything today, it would be to visit your intention. And, we use the word purpose, we use the word mission, these kind of things in our business. But I try and shift that mindset a little bit to intention, because intention is a very outwardly facing word. It's what is my intention for this other human being? Once you start to actually understand and define that intention, and that usually is a sentence, it's not a mission statement, it's not words on a wall, it's something along the lines of, I want to help businesses do this so that they can do this. And that "so that" piece is they can be experts in their field. And if experts in their field is your intention for your customer, or live freer lives, then, if freedom is a really important intention, then suddenly you start to hang other things off that. So I'm going to shift the way of thinking here a little bit, Alicia, and say that once you have that intention, something starts to shift for you around how you mobilize your existing customers rather than going out to new customers all the time. And I'll give a quick example to really make this granular for people. I had recently we have, and I don't know what, I'm talking from Australia here, so I'm going to use Australian kind of terms, but we have a deck. Do you know what, is it a veranda? We have a veranda at the back of our house.
We have decks.
Decks. Decks. I thought it might have been an Australian word, but it's decks is a universal. Great. So we've just recently had our deck redone, and new. And this is probably about 6 months ago now, but they laid it out for us, and they've put the nice oil over the top of it, and it looks fantastic. About 3 months after I got that done, we were very happy with the job. It was well priced, very competent. That's probably a good way of summarizing. Everything was great. About 3 months after it, though, we got a knock at the door, and it was the guy, the deck builder, had come past, and he had a can of decking oil for us. And he said, "Listen, I've been thinking about your deck, and I think that potentially it might need a little bit of extra touch up now and then. So I thought I'd drop around a can of oil for you to," and he handed me this deck of oil. He didn't need to do this. It was an unexpected experience, but he demonstrated his intention very clearly to me in that exchange. And you know what? At the next barbecue that I have, or the next dinner I have, when I'm talking about it, while I'm on the, podcast to Alicia Cramer, I'm talking about that experience, and therefore he's mobilized me as an advocate and a salesperson for him. So, and the next person that says, "Do you know anyone that," that's the first person I'm, even to the point of we're getting a renovation done, I ask, "Is it a deck?" Because of the fact that I really want to be his advocate, because of the fact that he has demonstrated his warmth of intention and his care for me. So getting really clear on that intention piece starts to mobilize a marketing that is a left turn to your traditional types of marketing, and starts to mobilize a group of people around that allows you to create a community asset, a dynamic community asset that becomes hard to compete with.
What a great story. So much business wisdom in that story
Yep.
from all sides. And how many of us could be demonstrating more genuine care and intention with our existing or even past clients and customers? There's a lot of talk about creating goodwill. And I think in some respects, it's similar. And that has such a positive effect on someone's business when they're genuinely doing it from the right place. Sometimes you get a sense that people are putting things out disguised as goodwill that really have a very self-motivated intention behind them. But sometimes you genuinely know, hey, yeah, of course, they're in business, right? They're marketing, they're promoting, but dang, that is really valuable. And that is an awesome, awesome gesture of goodwill. And that can be automated, right? That can be systematized. That can be a part of your marketing strategy. So now when you're working with your clients, I'm curious, what do you do? What are you doing with your clients to help them to really start to leverage their intention?
Yeah, so it covers across three things. And I love the fact you mentioned strategy there and putting a process around it, because 100%, one of the things that I hear from our clients is, oh, so we have to keep thinking about the tin of decking oil kind of moments all the time. No, it's just about not giving the kitchen sink out all at the same time, holding back some little unexpected little moments that are past when the commercial part of your exchange happens, to allow that to be an unexpected moment. And you put it in the diary that on the third month, you need to pop in with your decking oil, right? So, and so there are processes and systems to unexpected moments. How we work with our clients, we've got three kind of buckets that we play in. The first one is really helping clients go through the process of figuring out their own intention for their clients and playing that out. The second place is we work with clients to build unexpected, remarkable moments for their clients. So it's a creative arm of our business. And lastly is, how do you build engaged community around your business to leverage the power of that advocacy?
Wow. So that's very intriguing. Now, when we were talking about how you're doing marketing different, I think it's fairly apparent. And I'm sure there are other people who have maybe some degree of some similarities. They might incorporate some of these things, but the approach that you're taking, it just feels good. And having been in business development and also as a mindset coach and understanding how human psychology works, it just is a smart business move to operate this way. And we're talking about creating really, really good relationships with your existing clients and customers. It's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, I think the other thing to keep in mind is, yes, it feels good. It's what we all want probably as humans, is to have a better world when it comes to business, that we are actually solving problems and giving value and all of that kind of thing. But all the stats say that word of mouth is the biggest chunk when it comes to generating new business. And I don't know about you, Alicia, but for my business, that's where a lot of my business comes from. But it's the least area where we spend any strategy. And that feels like it feels like a massive gap that needs to be filled is why aren't we spending more time in this area of building strategy around something that we actually feel more fulfilled in business by, but also through just turning the dial a little bit in the direction of strategic word of mouth, you can have like a major effect on revenue and profit.
That is a very good point. And I don't know what the statistics are. Maybe you do. I don't think it even matters. If most people look in their business, and if you ask around, with the exception maybe of, some of the bigger corporations who have a bigger presence overall and just greater visibility. But for your typical small business owner, there is a lot of business passed through referral. And I know for me personally, a significant portion of my revenue is directly tied to referral. Now, obviously, if you're doing right for your clients, just like your deck guy did, right? That's good. But we know from research, we know from the statistics that you can have a really good experience with a business and not refer business to them. Because if it's not top of mind, you just, it's crazy. I'm in this incredible networking group with some very, very high profile, high level business women. And we're there to pass business, not in like a BNI way where it's just like a sense of obligation, but from like a much more sort of empowering, I respect you, you respect me, we're here to support one another type of approach. And it's amazing because I know for me, I can be listening to these women talk once a week and not have a thought in my mind about someone I've worked with in the past who could be an incredible connection for them. And I actually have to stop and really like feel into it for an aha moment, because some of those people are just simply not top of mind. They're incredible people, incredible business people, amazing, not top of mind. So now what you're doing here is you're helping your client stay top of mind in a way that just keeps recreating that positive experience over and over and over again. Am I on point here?
Yep.
Okay.
And I think also you mentioned large organizations. I recently bought a pair of sneakers recently. Now, as much as I don't like to admit it, I'm not much of a runner, but I needed a pair of new running sneakers, and I didn't know what sneakers to get, and so I called my brother who works for Lululemon, and I thought was a bit more sporty than I am, and he gave me his thoughts. Now, those thoughts are all based on his own internal narrative around sneakers. So from a top level big business brand, there's still this word of mouth going on between, and I end up buying on his recommendation, really off gut feel. He wasn't saying that the technology was better or anything like that. He was, I think each sentence was, I felt, they're pretty good. So how does an organization like that start to change the story within, not only change the story within their customers' minds, but give them a story that they can then retell to other people? So going back to what you were saying about your networking group, I think potentially at times what's missing there is the element of what is the narrative that person has given you that it makes it easy and is leverageable for you to then share with other people, make it easy for you to tell their story. And that's a bit that a lot of people miss. And again, all of this ties back to that intention.
That right there was quite a valuable nugget.
It's true, right? We all think, and whether we like it or not, even if it's not a story, we want to translate it into a story in our heads. So what is the story that we're giving people to share? And are we making it easy for them to share that?
I love that. All right, so let's pivot. Now I want to talk to you, the business owner, about your own mindset journey. So we all are continuously doing our inner work, whether you are doing it intentionally or just sort of bumping around through life and haphazardly overcoming some of your issues. I'm curious, what is one of the mindset obstacles you've personally had to overcome in order to get to where you are today?
Great question, because as you say, everyone has to go through some sort of internal journey. I think probably the biggest for me, Alicia, is I'm a deep empath by nature. And also there has been an intention journey for me. And I'm not going to try and talk shop here. I'll keep it quite focused on myself here. I think that even in building my web business, my focus was trying to get my clients to focus on human behavior and focus on the behavioral science of this. And then in my coaching business, I was focused on how do you build more trusting relationships. But what became really evident probably about 4 years ago now was that no business owner wakes up in the middle of the night and goes, you know what I need in my business is more trust. You know what I mean? And so although that was something that was important to me, from a mindset perspective, I had to shift to, but why is that important? To what is the problem where I'm solving for other people? And that's where this idea of what I'm doing now came from. And it was hard. It was hard to actually, now that I look back on it, it was quite a simple, I guess, parallel. But from trust to word of mouth and community didn't really come easily as a piece, because desperately I want to show people and teach people how to have more trusting relationships. But what they want as a customer was quite different as far as the language they were using.
As a fellow empath, I can empathize with you. When we're talking about our core wants versus what many of our clients and customers think they want, it can be a little bit of inner work for us to bridge that gap within ourselves and see that they, in a roundabout way, are the same thing, but the way that we are offering it needs to meet them with where they're at. I like to use the metaphor of dangling the carrot. So, what is the carrot that your client is so enticed by, even though it's really quite superficial in many respects? But we understand the way the mind works, and we know that what people think they need in order to feel the way that they want is way more of a motivating factor than being direct in many cases about what it is that they actually need to have what they want. So hopefully in a roundabout way, you're still effectively helping your clients to create that trust that is so truly valuable in their business and getting that incredible sense of fulfillment that you desire. Because there is definitely value in this topic for sure. And having worked with literally hundreds of clients over the years, I've seen so many times, they come in for the carrot. You'll see on my website, right? What do I help my clients do? Make lots of money, right? But is it really, yes, money is the lifeblood of business, but in many cases, what's really motivating people is the freedom. What they really want is freedom, emotional freedom, time freedom, financial freedom. So these are those things that even though people sometimes get it on some level, when they're waking up at 3 a.m., that's many cases not what they're thinking or saying to themselves. It isn't, I need more freedom in my life. It's, I need more money in my bank account.
I often, and you'll know more about this than I do, than I am, but that the kind of the be do have kind of methodology, and I think a lot of people sit in the have do be kind of way of looking at things, that I just need to have more money and then I can be free of all of this, or and often as business owners we want to play the be do have in the other way around. And I think it's getting into the shoes of people and living in that have do be kind of mentality allows you to go, this is what they're showing up for, even though that's not what they really need.
So the have is the carrot.
Yep.
And then we've got to and I tell my clients this all the time. Clients I've worked with for years, they know. And yet when you're in the thick of your stuff, somehow everything that you've learned and seen work for you in other areas of your life, just nope.
Absolutely.
You don't get to go from the lack mindset, focused on hard work and struggle and sacrifice and fixating on how crappy you feel and how you've got to create this level of success in your business in order to feel better. I always say, you can create whatever it is that you want if you focus enough on it, even if you're absolutely miserable. But when you get it, you're still going to be miserable. And that's what really trips people up, is we've got this false idea that once we have the thing, that somehow it's going to undo all of the negative programming that created all of the stress and the discord and all of those negative feelings. And it doesn't work that way. A car, $1 million, a sexy partner, none of those things has the ability to completely rewire your subconscious mind. So you can create those things for yourself, but you're still going to be the same person emotionally, mentally. And that's why I say there's no getting around doing the inner work. You've got to do the inner work.
Yeah, and I think a good thing to bring full circle here is, one of the things that I've come across that's really helped me is this idea of, they did a massive longitudinal study in the States somewhere that around happiness, and the thing that sort of they found through studying, I think it was 600, 700 men in the States, was that the one common denominator was this level of the quantity of quality relationships. in your life is really what is the biggest indicator for true happiness in life. And that's been a focus of mine.
Love that. All right, Jay, you've got to tell our listeners how they can get in contact with you.
Yeah, well, listen, if you don't do anything else from this conversation, I'd love for people to go and check out my podcast, which is called The Remarkable Project. We interview people from all over the world on this topic of how do you build a business that people feel compelled to talk about. So that's probably the starting place that you can check that out on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anywhere that you get your podcasts. The other place to find me is at Tinkler, jaytinkler.com.au. And probably my socials of choice are LinkedIn and Instagram, mainly LinkedIn. So if you want to reach out on LinkedIn. That's where you will find me.
Awesome. This has been a great conversation.
Loved it, Alicia. Yeah.
Lot of takeaways for sure. Kind of an unconventional marketing conversation, but a powerful one.
Yeah,
so
right.
Love that. Thank you so much for being with us, sharing your wisdom, your energy. I encourage everyone to make sure they check out your podcast and reach out to you for marketing support. And of course, I've got to thank all of our listeners. We're doing this for you. If you haven't already subscribed, please make sure you do so. And until next time, we will see you in the next episode.